Hey, welcome to my channel. This is Jill Morris Smith, also known as a Savvy Servant, also known as a nonprofit expert and your nonprofit coach. So, if you are a nonprofit founder and you're just starting your nonprofit or you're trying to grow your existing nonprofit, this is definitely where you want to hang out. So, make sure you subscribe and put on those notifications because it is my mission to teach nonprofit founders how to strategically develop their nonprofits so that they can secure six-figure grant funding. All right. So before we get started, if this is your first time on my channel or if you have not done so already, I highly recommend that you take my 3-hour nonprofit development training, which is absolutely free because a lot of these videos on this channel will you can take the advice and apply it, but it could be out of order, out of sync and with the strategy that I suggest. So make sure you check out that training. You can access it on my website, thesavvyservant.com. It's right there on the home page. And it'll cost you your 3 hours worth of time, but it will be well worth it. And it will cost you your name and your email address. Other than that, it is absolutely free. I'm just going to need to know where to send a link. All right. So this is one of those topics today that separates the effective nonprofits from the ineffective nonprofits. And so we got to talk about it because this is a hot topic. And I think I need to tell you, give you some help, some advice in this area. So the topic on the table today is, what happens when the board disagrees with your plans? What happens when the board disagrees with your plans? Ooh, that is yeah, we're gonna need to talk about this one. When you get that vision, God gave you this vision. He's definitely giving you a story, and you are taking that story and you're now turning it into good. Whether your story is good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, if you have overcome or mastered an area in your life and now you want to help others, that is your testimony. That is your story. That in these days are the best ways to serve, when you know that you have been through what you're trying to help others get through. That is a good place to serve from. And so just assuming that that is it, um, once God gives you that and you decide, you know what, you want to help others and you want to turn this into a nonprofit, before you even approach potential board members to even serve on your board, because um, there are requirements, state requirements that require that you have a board. And if there are government grantors out there and other grantors, whether it's foundation grants, a lot of funders and individual donors, they want to see that you have some accountability. So you definitely need or would want a board. So there's kind of really no way to get around it if you want to secure that big grant funding. But before you can even entertain board members and thinking of people to put on your board, there's some things that you want to have in place first. And this will help to alleviate run into issues where your board is taken over. Yes, we've heard all of the stories where a board can oust you and a board can get rid of you. Normally in those situations, it's got to be something that's really detrimental, and that for a lot of times if you're ousted by a board, that means that all of them have agreed that it's best to basically protect you out of the public eye and make sure that you are, and it could be for any little reasons. That's why you need a board, because it could be for something as innocent as just taking one grant money and helping another program out, which is not, you can't do that. But say that that's not your intent to um, your intent is not to rob one pot to put into another. Your intent could be to really help these other people in this area. But because that you cannot do that, it could be looked upon publicly as commingling or misappropriating funds, or it looks like a bad thing. So if a board decides that it wants to just oust you or slap you on the hand, it is normally is for a legitimate reason. I don't want you to go into this scared or trying to pick board members that you can control, or board members that's not gonna put you out. Or don't even look at it like this. When you're thinking about board members, think about people who's going to have your best interests at heart and who's going to protect you. So even if there's an area where they say, well, Cassandra, I think that, you should consider not being an executive director, because of X, Y, and Z. For the most part, you want to listen to see what they're saying. Now, before you even get to the part where you're going to get board members, you just got this vision. You went through this experience. You got a testimony. Now you want to help people. Now it's time, for you, to really put your vision on paper. So there are a couple of things that you should put in place before you even meet and have that first initial board meeting. There's some things you want to have in place as the visionary. God gave you this vision. He gave you this baby. This is yours to steward. This is yours. This is your vision He's given you to steward. A board, staff, volunteers, grantors, funders, those are just helpers to help you fulfill your vision. But you are the one who's given this assignment. So, with that being said, there are certain things you need to have in place. One of those things you need to have in place, you want to document your story. You want to definitely document your story. Consider putting it, on video, doing some type of video of your story. It can be as simple as going on live on YouTube or on Instagram, just telling your story. But you want your story documented, and you want to tell your story as often as possible, because if your nonprofit is based on you triumphing over a situation, then you want your nonprofit to be based on, your story. So that's the very first thing you want to definitely have in place. The second thing you want to have in place, you want to have, um, your overview of your nonprofit. And so that's the vision, the mission, and an overview of, the services that you're going to provide. Now, that could be in draft form, because when you get with your board, they can say, well, I think you should tweak this way, and I think that's fine. But you want to be the first person to have that stuff in draft. You want to have an overview document of what your ideas are, and how you want your programs, and especially your first program, how you want your first program to look. That should be in a document form. So you have your story, you have your overview of your programs. The third thing you want to have, a, list of guiding principles, And so these could be 10 or 12, 15 different things, some guiding principles. It could be based on your biblical beliefs, some things of how you want your nonprofit to operate, these principles that you're standing on, so that the board and you and the operation side can be on one accord. So say, for instance, for the sake of this topic of, when the board disagrees with your ideas, say one of the, principles can be, if there's a disagreement in an idea, we, we um, we stand on the best interest of the clients we're going to serve. That could be a guiding principle. But you want to set the parameters on how the tone of your organization should run prior to getting board members. So that's another document. The other document, you want to have your draft, um, business plan. You're not going to get it all done. It's a business plan is a work in progress. Of course, if you're going to go get loans, of course you want to have it done then. But a business plan is great because it helps to, get your ideas on paper, see where you're headed and where you're going. It drafts out, operational duties and all that great stuff. You want to have a draft business plan in place before you go to your first board meeting. And then you want to also have draft bylaws. Draft bylaws, of course, they're the governing document of how the board is going to operate, but you want to have some draft bylaws in place to take to that first board meeting, so that the board will have a set of documents to start them off. Now, it's their responsibility to review the bylaws and amend, change language, all that. it's up to the board to do that, but you need to come with that document in place. So you have all these documents and you go to your first board meeting with your potential board members. And one of the things it's going to do is going to set the tone that this person is serious. This person is serious about what um, their vision is and what they believe they need to be doing to serve their community. So at that point, you already set a high bar of how your nonprofit, you want your nonprofit to operate. And so at that point, your board members don't have a choice but to look at you in high esteem because you got it all together. You don't have it all together, but you got enough together to say, I believe in this vision so much that I've already planned a lot of it out, and I need you to help me execute this plan. Once you do that, you go to your board meeting, and of course, if you got your business plan drafted, you already know the name that you're gonna want to name your nonprofit. Of course, you probably gonna already know like your brand colors and your logo and all that great stuff, and you're going to go to your board meeting and your initial board meeting, and the board members are going to look at over everything, and they're going to you know see where they can make this more effective. What you already have, they want to see how they can make this more effective, how they can take this to another level for you so that they can help meet your vision. Now, if there is something that they see that they disagree, say with the mission statement, I would say for the most part, listen to them. The more board members you have, the better, because you don't want the board to disagree with one another. But if there's a disagreement, there is a likelihood that some of them will see your point and some of them will see another point. If, for instance, say you got 9 people on your board and 5 people see, because you'll be a non-voting board member, say 5 people see it should go one way and the other 4 agrees with you. At that point, you want to submit to the authorities, submit to their decision, because at the end of the day, it should be the best interest for you and to help you get to your vision. So, don't look at it as, well, they don't like me and everything I bring to them, they're disagreeing with. That could be the case, but a lot of times it's just a lot of it is them as business owners or as people already in the industry, what they see or what they know, what would be most effective. For the most part, it is for your best interest. So there was a situation that I want to bring here. It was one of my clients. This was a couple of years ago. They came to me. They had their first board meeting. They turned over all their documents. And when the board was setting, the board set their first official board meeting. This is after the initial meeting, the first meeting. The board set their official first meeting. This is, again, if you have not seen how to host a first meeting, go watch that video. But the board had set their first initial meeting. So my client went to the meeting, showed up to the meeting, and all the board was there. I think it was 5 members. And she sat in there, and the first thing they said was, we don't agree with your logo. We don't agree with your logo. Like, we see this logo and it's very, it doesn't seem effective, or whatever they said. And she was so heartbroken. When I tell you she was heartbroken, because she had put a lot of time and effort into her logo. And the logo she had, now her board was very diverse. The logo she had was, it leaned more to one culture. Now, after she said it, like, I'm not a graphic designer. So when I saw it, after she said what they said, I saw what they were talking about. But the logo she had was leaning more to one culture. And it was very limiting to one culture. And so they disagreed with the logo. They didn't like it. They all agreed that she should change the logo. And so she kicked, hollered, and screamed. But she changed it, and they had the funds to redo the logo. They gave her the funds to redo the logo, and she redid the logo. And when I saw the new logo, it was like, yeah, I understand. So a lot of times they'll disagree with you, but for the most part, give the board a chance. Give them the chance to see beyond your vision, see what could be um, potential hurdles or setbacks or stalls for your business. Um, and for your vision, and let them do what they are called to do. Give them a chance. Now if there's a, if everything you're bringing is like they don't agree with, they totally agree with, at that point probably a separate meeting needs to be had about maybe there's some conflict in personalities. But I would say one of the best ways to get around that is the more board members you have on your board, the better, because the likelihood you'll see where like there's this thing that we always say, if more than one person is saying one thing about you, then you may want to listen in, like especially if it's a personal thing. If they're saying one or more than one person is saying the same thing about you, that's the point that you really want to just humble yourself and listen in. But if it's a thing where every idea you're bringing, somebody is backing it down, and somebody is knocking your ideas down, and you can't get nothing through. Say that there's a program you wanted to. There was an instance, for instance, one of the boards that I was on, a lot of times I hear this a lot. A lot of visionaries come in, and at the beginning they want to do a group home. And while that is all well and fine, and that is their vision, sometimes, when you get your nonprofit, when you first start in your nonprofit, you've got to do activities and programs that leads up to building a group home. And so sometimes, it's like, okay, no, I don't think you should do a group home. If I'm sitting on a board, no, I don't think you should do a group home like just starting out. For one, you don't have enough money to do it. Like for one, like you don't have the capacity to manage this group home, or to build this group home, or to lease this group home, or to buy this group home. You don't have the staff in place, and so let's do some programs outside of a group home that can lead up to getting a group home. So when they disagree with your plans, um, really take a mature perspective of it, and just say, okay, well, they have my best interest at heart, and maybe I need to table this for a year, and then do what they suggest. But for the most part, nobody's really there. Like nobody's really there to stop your vision. Like if that's the case, then you need to go on some serious prayer and fasting. And so and it because it could be likely. It could be likely, but that's why you really in the beginning, select board members that are really business minded, really savvy, really know what they're talking about, really can give you some good sound advice and counsel. So I hope this works. Yeah, make sure your story's in place. Make sure your nonprofit overview is in place. Make sure you have a list of guiding principles. Make sure your business plan draft is in place, and draft those bylaws first before meeting up with board members. All those documents, except for your story, you've got to create that on your own. But a draft of a nonprofit overview, a draft of guiding principles, a draft of a nonprofit business plan, draft of bylaws, they're all included in the Activate Toolkit, just in case you don't have it and you want it. You don't want to start from scratch, or you can start from scratch. This is your baby, and if you want to develop those documents from scratch, by all means, you can do so. There are enough samples out there, but I have them in the Activate Toolkit just in case you want them. All right, that's it for me. You all have a great day, and I'll be back with another video. Bye bye.